Today we're going to talk a little bit about pirates. And I'm not talking the Johnny Depp looking super sexy. We're talking about book pirates, or book piracy, or basically stealing books off the internet. There was a time, my friends, when to get a book, you either had to go to a bookshop in person and buy one, or the library and borrow one, or if you were me, the used bookstore to get one for like 75 pence, used, battered, but completely readable. Obviously, we don't live in that world anymore. Everybody, pretty much, including me, buys books on the internet these days. There are a number of places online, I will not tell you where they are, where people upload ebooks that somebody has bought at some point legitimately or received as a book blogger or something, and they upload them to these websites so that people can download them for free. And hundreds and hundreds and thousands of books are downloaded this way. Millions, I think. Possibly. Most books, it seems to me, are downloaded illegally these days. Booksellers make no money, so they go out of business. Publishers make no money, so they buy fewer books and sign fewer authors. And authors make no money. And that's basically it. I will admit I didn't know much about book piracy when I first became an author. My school did pretty well. It was in a number of languages. It had taken off and I was unaware of it. And then one day I noticed a copy of Night School in Spanish on Wattpad. The whole book downloaded 33,000 times. 33,000. I had never sold 33,000 copies of anything, let me just be honest. I mean, certainly not in Spanish. I complained, like, lustily to Wattpad. I took it down, and then I searched and found copies of the book in Polish, and English, and French, and Spanish, and Italian. So I'm panicking now, in full flow, taking them on, filing takedown notices, which, by the way, each takedown notice takes like 15 minutes to write, and you have to do each one for each copy. You can't just do one and say there's 7 books. You have to do 7 takedown notices anyway. And then I Googled it. My books were everywhere. There were thousands and thousands of hits for downloading my books illegally. And I was just like, what do I do? Like, I genuinely did not know. It was around this time that the Spanish publisher dropped the series after the 3rd book had come out because it wasn't selling. Of course it's not selling. Why would anybody pay for this book when they can get it completely for free? You would be a fool to pay for the Spanish edition of Night School 1, 2, or 3 when pretty much every website in the world had a copy completely free to download in its entirety. Spanish kids were very upset that they weren't going to get to read the ending. The same thing happened in a couple of other countries because of piracy. It was like a stunning discovery. It was devastating. To be perfectly honest, it was devastating because my Spanish readers were some of like the most passionate Night School fans. I started out filing takedown notices myself with Google for every single book I found. I would fill out this form and send it to them. In a year, I filled out 2,500. I was obsessive. I would search for my book, I would find illegal copies, I would file a takedown notice. I would spend like part of every afternoon. I'm not making this up. Then somebody created a service. There is a service I can now pay for. I upload the names and publishers of all my books in every language, and they do it for me. And once a week, they send me an email telling me how many books they took down. This week, they took down 213. They've taken down 16,000 copies of my books from Google. That's the scale of the problem. The problem is so huge that the only people who can solve it are internet providers and browsers. They could do it in a minute. I mean, the things my service searches for: free, PDF, ebook, Mobi, Christi Duhart, download now. You're telling me Google could not write an algorithm that searched for that and did not allow that to come up in search returns like in 2 seconds? They could have done it in 1997. They could do it for music, they can do it for films, and they could do it for books. They should be doing it right now. It should be immediately dark webbed. I believe that publishing houses need to devote more time and money to prosecuting the biggest of these companies. That's how music does it. That's how photographers do it. And they sue them knowing they won't get much for it. They sue them to make a point. They sue them to protect the artists and to protect the industry. That would be a cautionary lesson for everybody. And then, hopefully, we could get back to sanity where people are, if nothing else, afraid. And they have to do what they should do with any criminality. They have to deal these things like drugs in stinking dark alleys in the scariest part of town, in the scariest part of the internet, where every download could be a virus. It needs to be relegated to that level. That is where we put things we don't like. That is where we put crime, and that's where it needs to be. It needs to get out of the light. I could easily have written a book in the time I've spent trying to preserve my career by stopping people from stealing my books. And is that really my job? Like, you tell me, because I didn't think so. Be on the side of fiction and writers and creators who cannot on their own fight 150,000 thieves. Like, that's just impossible. It's an impossible ask. Thank you for coming today and listening to me rant and rave about pirates, the wrong kind of pirates. Come back next week and I will talk about something cheerier. And subscribe. I'm not usually this angry, but when I am, sometimes I'm entertaining. Don't steal books. Be my friend. See you soon.